science, got a couple pronouns in my bio. Elon's mad, orange man bad. I posted a black square on Instagram. Shave my head for BLM. Hashtag I support the current thing. I believe our women and Thomas women back in 2016. Hillary Clinton would have won, but Russian collusion.
Hey, what are you, carrying water for Putin?
Going cashless, voluntary fact check. Got my big pussy out of today. Back to past tense. My new normal, I'm a scared at doorknobs. Deplatform, yeah, if you're not for hormones for kids. For sustainability, only eating cricket meat. Pizza Gates for schizophrenics. Billy Gates is generous and
Hey man, OnlyFans is liberation.
I'm a scope that KFC's plant-based now. CRT digital ID AOC AUBINUNI on the right side of history when we get behind the current thing.
I stand with
The current thing.
I condemn.
The current thing.
I support.
The current thing.
Hey everybody, welcome to the stream. That was a new song from Dirty Jerdy. He's a friend of mine. I've performed live with him before. Oh man, this lighting is terrible. But yeah, he just dropped a new album. He also has a few other songs going out. You can check that out at Dirty Jerdy over here. But he's got a lot of very funny music. I got lots to do tomorrow and tonight, so I just wanted to hop on and do a quick stream. Hope everybody is doing well. Hi, but let's just get right into it. This is a video from CBC, and they're talking about Tamara Lich and Chris Barber. And I actually haven't really looked into the details of their verdict and the implications of it, but I thought it might be interesting to just jump in to the CBC video that was posted 3 days ago. Let's see what the description says. The 2022 Freedom Convoy, led by Tamara Lich and Chris Barber, left a permanent mark on Ottawa, but their long haul through the courts is far from over. That sounds great. All right, let's get into it. This is 10 minutes.
We're on Parliament Hill, a place of power, protest, and politics. But outside these gates, there's a group.
Okay, right away. What's going on here? Oh my God. What is that? Look at that. Look at that hair. That's crazy. I mean, okay. You know, you think the wall is a big thing covering Parliament? Look at this guy's features. That's insane. That is wild. Oh my God. I just wasn't prepared for that. I apologize. I'm sure he's a really nice guy.
These gates, there's a group that just won't go away. They call themselves the Wellington Street Regulars.
I came here as an independent from Vancouver Island at a time when this country was in dire consequences as a result of the Liberal government putting on mandates and policies that were so disruptive to the people. I mean, that's why the convoy showed up here.
How many days have you been here for?
I've been here for more than 1,000 days.
Those who lived through the near month-long protests in our nation's capital won't soon forget. All the honking, chanting, and F. Trudeau signs. For weeks, police did little to stop them.
Hey, at least they actually featured the hot tub. That's interesting. I I mean, to be fair, this is like more favorable than what they were saying 2 years ago. They've certainly softened that up. Used to be the worst display of neo-Nazism ever, I thought, CBC, and now it's like, oh, well, they were just protesting, I guess, hey? Yeah, you guys had totally changed your tune. Although it's very interesting that they started by opening up with the Wellington Street Regulars. I just think that's just like a weird, it's all about first impressions, guys. It's all about first impressions. And, I don't know if I've met Brian Dirksen. I probably have, but, yeah, I don't know. It's, I don't think CBC is interested in like showing the convoy in a positive light still, despite them sort of changing their tune of us not being all Nazis. I really don't think it's, still not sure that, they're trying to leave a good impression whatsoever. Because really, let's face it, the CBC lied egregiously about this protest over 2 years ago. And we're kind of all just acting like that never happened. And now they're getting a chance to kind of like retell the story in a more sympathetic way, but also still trying to make us look like a bunch of maniacs, unreasonable maniacs. I bet you once again that, actually, did it even come up? Did convoys even explicitly come up in his statement here?
As a result of the Liberal government putting on mandates and policies that were so disruptive to the people. I mean, that's why the convoy showed up here.
How many days have you been here for?
I've been here for more than 1,000 days.
Right. So could it be the very first time we hear on CBC television that the trucker convoy was about stopping mandates was from Dirksen 2.5 years later? That's the very first time that CBC is broadcasting that this is explicitly about protesting mandates. It's 2.5 years later. Like, that's probably not entirely true, but you know what I'm saying? Because back then it was like, oh, they're crazy. They wanna overthrow the government. That was literally the narrative 2.5 years ago, trying to make us look like terrorists. And now it's like, hey, let's hear it from Dirksen here, who's obviously down on his luck. Let's make him be the new poster child of what this convoy was about. And like, in comparison, folks, like, just so you can understand, there were professional politicians like Randy Hillier at the trucker convoy, many other people as well, who were presenting themselves professionally, saying this exact same thing of like, hey, we want the mandates to stop. There was a lot of people who were there professionally, doctors, lawyers, Bruce Party, all sorts of individuals who are professionally presenting themselves to condemn this government of the COVID mandates. None of that hit the CBC airways when it was most important at the time, when there were people who were out of a job, people who couldn't even go into restaurants. They didn't want to talk about it then, but they're going to talk about it now, and they're not even going to present it in a professional way. No offense to Dirksen, but this is not the most professional look that represented the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who supported this convoy, possibly millions. So this is how they're, it's very subversive and sneaky how the media does this to once again really make the public lose favor with the convoy and what happened. Again, Dirksen, I'm sure he's a great guy, but like, this is not the poster child of the convoy that is going to help sort of dignify the protest.
Days.
Those who lived through the near month-long protests in our nation's capital won't soon forget. All the honking.
Yeah, the honking stopped big time after the first few days. Again, they don't really care about the details or the facts here, but
chanting NF Trudeau signs.
Yeah, see, for me, who was there, who interviewed over 300 people there, for me, the convoy was about the frustration, the desperation of nurses, doctors, blue-collar workers, white-collar workers, family members who have been ostracized from their family, who just had nothing. They had no other option, and that's why they were there, to protest against these mandates. But to CBC, it's like, oh, all this honking and yelling and people saying, fuck Trudeau. What's this all about? It's so disingenuous already.
For weeks, police did little to stop them. Then everything changed. On February 14th, the federal government used the Emergencies Act, Police from across Ontario, including Mounties, brought in riot gear and horses, cleared the streets, arrested over 200 people, and issued thousands of tickets.
Freedom!
Ever since then, two main
You beat up a lot of people, and there's people still dealing with the fallout, the legal fallout of this event. I love how they skim over the fact, though, that like the convoy wasn't doing anything wrong. It's like, and then everything changed when the police showed up and beat everybody up. Like it's the CBC, the establishment has nothing. With January 6th in America, they have lots to work with in terms of trying to make these people look like terrorists and stuff. In this case, they got nothing.
narratives have emerged about what happened, who's responsible, and how they should be punished.
Punished for what? What? Wait, what? Did we just, what? Who should be punished?
Gear and horses, cleared the streets, arrested over 200 people, and issued thousands of tickets.
Wait, did they even like...
Then everything changed. On February 14th, the federal government used the Emergencies Act. Police from across Ontario, including Mounties, brought in riot gear and horses, cleared the streets, arrested over 200 people, and issued thousands of tickets.
How many of those arrests stuck, though? This is, again, so misleading. How many of those arrests stuck? How many of those fines actually stuck? And what were they actually for? What's the actual fault of the people, of these protesters? They're actually just completely skimming over that, I think. Because...
Since then, two main narratives have emerged about what happened, who's responsible, and how they should be punished.
The protesters should be punished? For what? Literally for what? What? For what? For protesting? Like they just skim over, oh yeah, well, we all know they're all just shitty, misguided, stupid people who should be punished. Maybe I haven't played enough of this video, but this is sounding insane so far.
Trials of key figures like Tamara, Lich, and Barber have become flashpoints. The combined cost of their defense is approaching $1 million. Around a third comes from the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms. Another undisclosed amount comes from the Democracy Fund, both registered charities with deep ties to conservative and libertarian causes. But the rest comes from grassroots fundraising and sales from this memoir.
It's clear this movement isn't just about a few high-profile names, it's a network.
According to Isaac
Oh
Newton.
my God. I need YouTube Premium. Oh, sorry, guys. I keep forgetting to switch back. Do you want to see the ad? Do you want to see the ad, guys? Ad break. Hey, let's do an ad break for me. Guys, this persecution of political prisoners is ongoing. That's very clear. The title of this video was, or it said in the description, their long haul through the courts is far from over. And the CBC is obviously not going to tell our story properly. Okay? And there's a lot that I think the right-wing media has kind of glazed over, and we're not working to actually tell people outside of our echo chamber. This has frustrated me for years, ever since the convoy, and that's why I'm doing something about it. I have started a documentary that documents the different people who have been persecuted for their political opinions in Canada. These people get smeared constantly. These people get their reputations destroyed for simply speaking up on different issues. And it's very systemic. There's a whole network how this works and how they punish Canadians like us who have the wrong opinion. And this story needs to be told to people outside of our echo chamber. It needs to be professional, okay? And a professional documentary costs money. I've already done a half a dozen interviews or so with a lot of notable names, and I'm doing one tomorrow. I'm not going to tell you who, but they are a pastor. I'll say that. They are a pastor that maybe you've heard of, and I need the gas money for tomorrow, for example. I need to buy a new hard drive to put the footage on the hard drive. We're working with an award-winning documentarian. You can look him up. His name is Steve Hanning. This guy has a great track record. He holds a Guinness World Record. Okay? This is what we need in this fight, in this war. We need powerful storytelling that's professional, that's going to reach outside of our echo chamber. If you want to support, then please go to givesendgo.com/save free speech. I'll put it in the chat right now. and then we'll get back to reacting to this. But man, like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. You know, like, unfortunately, thousands, millions of people will watch this propaganda piece about the convoy, and I really feel like we're not really pushing back with enough. I know we have True North, we have Rebel News, we have different YouTubers, but a lot of that is just kind of in the same little echo chamber, guys. We need something that is going to be reaching outside of that. And again, if you want to look up the documentarian we're working with, excuse me, Steve Hanning, he has the touch to do this. It's going to be, you know, this documentary is going to be professionally produced, broadcast ready. If we hit our fundraising goals, we'll also be able to submit it to film festivals and things like this. But yeah, again, that's givesenko.com/savefreespeech. Hey, James Bullock with the $150 donation. Thank you so much, sir. Keep up the great work. Infinite respect. And then Alan Cunningham with the $100. Let's make this campaign a success. Any leftover funds can be used to kick JT and his thugs to the curb. Absolutely. Absolutely. But, you know, it's not just JT. It's also his propagandists working for the CBC. Let's get back into this video.
Isn't just about a few high-profile names. It's a network.
To better understand that lingering support, my producer and I traveled to Alberta and
To better understand that lingering support. What? What? This is like the presupposition of this whole piece is that the trucker convoy people are terrible. And it's just like, how bad should we punish them? How could there even possibly be people who still supported that? So disgusting. This is so disgusting.
Saskatchewan in the spring. Our first stop, Medicine Hat, a city of 66,000 people about 3 hours southeast of Calgary.
Okay.
Where are we right now?
We are at the Tim Hortons in Medicine Hat, where I started, I guess, my advocacy. I joined a local group of people that would get together and rally every weekend.
Lich has been called the spark that lit the fire of the Freedom Convoy.
There she is, Tamara Lich. Once again, all this stuff I feel is so important. Like a Tim Hortons parking lot. Couldn't you ask to sit down in like some sort of nice setting instead of a... Anyway.
But it all began here with an Alberta separatist movement known as Wexit.
We were all here for our own reasons, I guess, right? Mine was primarily, obviously, for the oil and...
So mandates have been mentioned once so far. Let's see if mandates even come up again.
This movement known as Wexit.
We were all here for our own reasons, I guess, right? Mine was primarily, obviously, for the oil and gas industry.
This man approached us starstruck.
She is on the right side. She's a right winger. And I love that.
Oh, yes. I had...
Like, when you're editing a piece and you interview people, like, you have so much content to work with. You have so many clips that you could be using. And then the CBC decides this tidbit.
Man approached us starstruck.
She is on the right side. She's a right winger. And I love that.
Oh, yes.
So deep. So deep. Because, you know, the flip side of this... Sorry, I keep forgetting to switch. The flip side of this is someone who's also starstruck by Tamara Lich. And they have a much more moving story of... Because there's so many versions of this. During the convoy, I was so afraid. I was so alone. I was completely isolated from my family. I know people whose families still aren't the same since the convoy. Like, they don't even talk anymore. Or, like, it shouldn't even be the convoy. It's just, like, the mandates. And people are moved by people like Tamara Lich or other leaders who spoke up because they were so afraid. They had nothing. Like, they felt like they were alone, and they saw people speaking up, and they were so inspired by this. But instead of kind of getting like a real emotional story about the reality of that, and again, no offense to the people being featured in this piece so far, but it's like, yeah, she's on the right side. She's a right winger. It's like, man, great. Like once again, they're only kind of fulfilling. They're saying the same stereotype that we're a bunch of like right wing idiots. but they're just kind of softening it a bit. They're like, okay, you're not racist Nazis, but you're a bunch of like dumb truck drivers, right wingers. We went out. The CBC reporters are like, we went out to Western Canada. Oh my God. Like they went outside of the Ottawa bubble. Oh my God. But, and the way they edited this too is like, was Tamara Lich only there for oil and gas? Is that the only reason she protested at the convoy? Like it really feels like this clip is even out of context.
I joined a local group of people that would get together and rally every weekend.
Lich has been called the spark that lit the fire.
Right, every weekend, because it was probably during lockdowns.
Of the Freedom Convoy, but it all began here with an Alberta separatist movement known as Wexit.
We were all here for our own reasons, I guess, right? Mine was primarily, obviously, for the oil and gas industry.
This man approached us starstruck.
Like, oh crap, I keep forgetting to switch back. Sorry, guys. Frick. Yeah, I don't know if it's the way they edit it, but they make it, it implies that Tamara was only protesting because of oil and gas, not because of mandates. So.
She is on the right side. She's a right winger. And I love that.
Oh, yeah.
I love the reasoning there. Because I agree. Right winger on the right side.
I had, lots of mail.
Lich invites us to her home.
Quite a bit of mail the first time I was in jail, too. I've got letters from people that have survived vaccine injuries. I have letters from people that didn't get to say goodbye to their dying parents in the hospital. I have stories from people that felt that they were absolutely forced to get vaccinated or they were going to lose their job. These past 2 years have brought on a lot of...
I mean, that was a good segment. Would have been a lot better if it like no respectfully like wasn't in like a messy kitchen. Again, if she was like sitting down in a nice setting saying this stuff, that would be much better. But I just feel like for anybody who's uninitiated on what happened during the convoy, they're not thinking about what she's saying here. They're not thinking about the very, very important things of like, hey, I received letters from people who are vaccine injured. You know what I mean? Like that should be a really important piece of what she's saying. But I'm distracted by all this, mess on her kitchen counter. I'm just reacting to what I'm seeing right now.
I have letters from people that didn't get to say goodbye to their dying parents in the hospital. I have stories from...
Like, that's such an important point, and we have a close-up of a fucking box? Really? My God.
People.
But this is why I'm doing this. Like, the propaganda is very crafty. They're very crafty. Because, folks, I worry that freedom fighter convoy people might be like, yeah, we got an epic win. Like, they covered our story. See, they mentioned people who are vaccine injured. Yeah, like passingly. They didn't emphasize it. They didn't like frame it in a way that like how it should have been. They're zooming in on a fucking box of a bunch of random items that's completely disorienting for anybody who's watching this.
People that felt that they were absolutely forced to get vaccinated or they were going to lose their job. These past 2 years have brought on a lot of depression and hopelessness for the future.
Okay.
When we found
this is getting a bit better.
Out that there was going to be a freedom convoy for the first time in 2 years, I felt hope.
Lich acknowledges there is another side, Canadians who see the convoy as hateful, divisive, and lawless.
To thank you for sacrificing everything.
That's good. So that was actually not bad. Would have been nice if they opened with that, but...
Ended up dropping 2 of the classes I was in due to the stress.
Home was not safe. Exhaust and diesel fumes belched up into my apartment.
Oh no.
Everything.
What is this?
Not safe.
2 of the classes I was in due to
everything.
I ended up dropping 2 of the classes I was in due to the stress.
Home was not safe.
Was she dropping classes because of the convoy or because of the mandates? That's not clear, CBC. I'm not familiar with your material.
I was in due to the stress.
Home was not safe. Exhaust and diesel fumes belched up into my apartment. And I got out.
That's so crazy. That's so crazy. Have you ever been on a highway during rush hour in Toronto? There's a lot of diesel exhaust everywhere. But no, this unique thing downtown, no, this was uniquely horrible. And this is so rich coming from the CBC. It's like, okay, you've been telling this story for 2.5 years. For those who don't know the other side of the story, we're pretty aware of your side of the story, CBC, but thank you. Thanks for reiterating that people had to inhale diesel fumes like you always do if you're near a highway. But anyway.
Not safe. Exhaust and diesel fumes belched up into my apartment. And I got absolutely zero sleep going into
Nowhere were those sentiments.
Bro, like, juxtaposing these two things is crazy. Do people not, like, oh my God. I mean, the typical CBC watcher is probably completely hopeless. But that is so insane. You know, Lich is in tears saying, these people, thank you for giving me hope. Thank you for giving me hope. Like, I was so alone. I was so afraid. And I had to inhale diesel fumes and I didn't get any sleep. I couldn't go into a gym or go to a restaurant. Like, people have lost their jobs and livelihood that they've had for decades. I couldn't get any sleep. It's fucking crazy, guys.
People's Commission on the Convoy occupation. The Ottawa's People's Commission on the Convoy.
sleep going into
Nowhere were those sentiments more clear than at the Ottawa's People's Commission on the Convoy occupation.
The people's this is like so demonstrative. I know that I don't even like play any of it before being completely triggered and going off, but I'm doing my best here, folks. I'm doing my best. So they're going to feature the People's Commission. What is this? The Ottawa's People Commission. It was no more clear of how damaging the convoy was at the Ottawa's People Commission. Just a moment. Do you think they will mention the National Citizens Inquiry? Do you think they're going to mention the National Citizens Inquiry that has hours and hours upon hours of testimony of doctors, lawyers, all sorts of healthcare workers testifying of how egregious and destructive mandates were and all these lockdown policies were? This is a very professional organization. You can check it out at nationalcitizensinquiry.ca. And the fact that, oh my God, it's just so frustrating. It's so frustrating. They're like, we're going to hone in on the Ottawa People's Commission. All of them are, look at this. All of them wearing masks. Perfectly diverse. Only one white male. Female. Minority. Oh my God, this is just making my blood boil, guys. Whew. Take a breath. Everybody take a breath, all right?
Clear than at the Ottawa's People's Commission on the Convoy occupation, a citizens-led inquiry into the disruption and trauma caused by...
A citizens-led inquiry. Yeah. Sounds like the National Citizens Inquiry that nobody wants to give any airtime. Not even the Conservative Party of Canada, by the way, would like to amplify the National Citizens Inquiry. So just thought I'd throw that out there. Brother.
2022's convoy occupation.
Hey, whoa, we got a donation here. Hold on. Sorry about that. I'm getting distracted. Grills Cheese with $20. Greg, you rock. You do amazing work. Hey, thank you for the $20, Grills Cheese. I've met this guy. He's a total legend. And he grills cheese. He makes grilled cheese, and they're amazing. They're amazing. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you so much. All right, let's keep it going. Sorry, I can't follow the chat right now. I'm too tilted by this.
It was hostile, and it looked like at any point in time, violence could erupt.
Yeah, but it didn't. Oh God, that doesn't count for anything. It looked like it was gonna get violent, and okay. So you seem a little bit mentally, challenged. You feel you're emotionally distraught. That's not evidence. That's not evidence of any. I was feeling like really scared because I was afraid of what was going on. Okay. Is that it? That's their evidence? Like, that's crazy, guys. And unfortunately, this speaks to the very soul of the average, like, CBC watcher.
And trauma caused by 2022's convoy occupation.
Again, comparing the trauma of a protest to the trauma of your government being like, or your place of work being like, if you don't get vaccinated, you're not part of society anymore. You can't leave the country anymore. You can't get on a plane or a train. You're not invited to Thanksgiving dinner. This is the messaging out of every device, every TV screen. If you don't do this, then you're not welcome in your own family anymore. That's not traumatic. This is just, I'm not surprised, but it's just missing the mark by thousands of miles. And the fact that the trauma of the people sitting on their ass at home in Ottawa and knowing that there's a protest outside, and these people who basically aren't really well adjusted. I'm sorry, you're not really well adjusted if you see a protest happening and it's loud and then you're like afraid for your life. That's sort of like a you problem. That's sort of like maybe like, did you try approaching the protest? Did you try talking to anyone? No, you just got programmed by CBC to be terrified, and now you're shaking because you have bought into the psychological propaganda through the mainstream media. And it actually makes, now that I say all that, it makes perfect sense why they would feature this person on the CBC. It's the success. Look how we successfully programmed this person to be terrified of the protest that we told them to be terrified by. Another success for the psychological terrorism of CBC programming.
Caused by 2022's convoy occupation.
It was hostile, and it looked like at any point in time, violence could erupt.
There's obviously things that I don't understand about their perspective. And
we asked Tamara Lich if she's sorry.
I mean, and I don't mean I'm not sorry, as in I don't have a heart.
Oh my God, the way this is edited is crazy. They did her so dirty. Oh my God. Like, just straight to, so are you sorry? Are you sorry to what you did? It looks like you guys were hostile. Why did we punish these people enough? Like, this is disgusting, man. It's almost a little bit more disgusting. Like, hear me out. I feel like it's even more disgusting than the lies they told back during the convoy. Because at least during the convoy, it was like so flagrant and obvious how big their lies were. But now these lies are more insidious. They're more subtle. They're more sort of cryptic. They're giving people the idea that like they're giving them the benefit of the doubt. You know, like it's actually much more clever lying and deception. And that's why it pisses me off more. So I wonder what their list of questions for the interview were. So, Tamara, are you sorry? Jesus.
I don't understand about their perspective. And
we asked Tamara Lich if she's sorry.
I mean, and I don't mean I'm not sorry, as in I don't have a heart. I mean, I'm sorry that they felt that way. And I'm sorry that they have so much negative energy in their hearts about it. Because for some of us, it was such a beautiful experience. So I read.
Oh my God, the way this is edited is crazy. The only mention of like the hardships of unvaccinated people once again is when she's like looking at the box on her kitchen counter. Well, like what deception?
I did some of the lyrics, not all of them yet, to Folsom Prison Blues, and it's called Ottawa Prison Blues, and it goes like this. I hear the trucks are coming, they're rolling around the bend. I ain't seen the sunshine since Wellington. I'm stuck in Ottawa prison. Time keeps dragging on, and them big rigs keep rolling on down to Wellington. That was kind of fun.
Oh man, I mean the song is sweet. It's nice. It's sentimental. I tend to enjoy it. The problem here though is that did I even show that? Did I switch back too quick? Sorry guys. I keep doing that. Frick. The problem Did you guys see this? Did you see Tamara Lich playing? I don't even know if I was showing it. Yeah, okay. You guys saw it, right? Yeah. It's nice to us, but just understand the way they've presented this piece to the average CBC watcher is like they're like presenting Tamara like she's like delusional or something, or like that she's crazy. You know, like that she's all caught up in like all this like fake folklore of the convoy, and it doesn't mean anything. Like they didn't lay any of the groundwork for the actual emotional, like the moral weight of the convoy. Like they didn't sink into the sort of horrible stories of people who were unvaccinated back then or having their lives destroyed. They didn't establish that. So they're just kind of making her look kind of nuts, you know? And like, I'm sorry to say that, because I know Tamara's a sweet person. It's a sweet song. It's a sentimental song. And I think it does have a lot of meaning, but the way that they've presented it, it does not come across that way, unfortunately. This is such a disgusting hit piece, in my opinion. I don't think this is a win at all for anybody who thinks it is. Anyway, let's keep it going. And for next time, never apologize. Never apologize. Like, it's unfortunate because Tamara Lich is not a politician. Chris Barber's not a politician. You know, a lot like, you know, Pat King is not a politician. Jeremy McKenzie's not a politician. Archer Pulaski's not a politician. But like, you need to be like a politician when you're interacting with the CBC, because they are there for a hit piece. They are there like a antagonistic, people who want to destroy you. They want to smear your reputation. So you need to know how to act like a politician or know how to jump back. Like real quickly, it would be, hey, why didn't you apologize? I don't think I have to apologize for anything, because people need to hear the stories about what happened to the unvaccinated. I would just bring it back to the stories of the unvaccinated every single time. Every single time I would have brought it back to that and put the attack on them for lying. Because this is really the issue here, folks. Like, we are up against liars. We are up against smear merchants, and this fight is so far from over. It's so far from over. And for those who don't know, I want to make my own storytelling piece that would counteract this CBC piece. And it's going to be a documentary. We're working with an award-winning documentarian, and it's going to be epic. We're going to be interviewing people from the trucker convoy. I'll be using some of my convoy footage as well to tell the real story, the real injustices of Canadians who are unvaccinated. I'm going to be interviewing a certain pastor tomorrow. It's actually going to be out. I have to drive anyway. I have to drive a couple hours. I'm going to need gas money, and we're getting a lot of great footage. I need hard drives. I need to buy another one of these hard drives. These are not cheap either. But if you want to help support us telling the real story to counteract the CBC propaganda, then please go to givesendgo.com/savefreespeech. We are working with an award-winning documentarian. His name is, I'm going to put it in chat if you guys want to look him up. His name is Steve Hanning. You can look him up. He has great, fantastic work. And he's going to have that touch to be able to actually, believe it or not, reach the average CBC watcher with the story that draws them in and actually shows them what's going on. Because we need to counteract these smears. We need to reach out of our echo chamber and start telling our story professionally, and that costs money. So please go to givesendgo.com/savefreespeech. Donate today. I am going to, well, I'll talk about it next week when I have it ready. But, hey, we got a big donation from the Russians with $10. Thank you so much from the Russians. Noticed I have previously, but hey, thanks again for the other donation, sir. Every little bit counts. That's going to go straight into my gas tank tomorrow for gas, so I can film the next interview. I really, really appreciate that. I really, really, really appreciate it. Let's get back into this hit piece from the CBC about Tamara Lich and Chris Barber. Okay.
Lich behind and hit.
Fun.
So blue and white, hey?
We leave Tamara Lich behind and hit.
The Ottawa bubble effect is crazy, guys.
Highway 1, the same long, straight road thousands of vehicles once took, all heading east toward Ottawa.
Somebody in chat said, Kenzie Kraken, so GSG for your gas as well? I mean, there's a lot of things that is included in having to pay for this documentary, and obviously traveling there with the cameras, with the lights, with myself and the cameraman. That's part of how you produce a it's a lot bigger than just like, filming a YouTube video. It includes my time traveling and all of that. And there's a lot of costs, and I'm trying to dedicate my time and efforts into telling a professional story. And so it's all very appreciated.
After nearly 3 hours of driving, we arrive in Stewart Valley, population 107. At Chris Barber's family farm, he and his 2 dogs take us to greet Big Red.
Let's go. Okay, I'm liking this more. This is looking super blue collar. We got a dog right away at the beginning. That's a good vibe.
A 2003 Kenworth W900 in striking Viper Red.
It has a story of its own. I've basically raised my children in it.
This rig has seen it all. Over 3 million kilometers on the road.
Wow. Really? 3 million? That's nuts. I only got 300K. Sly says, if you come to Alberta, Greg, we should chat. I want to come to Alberta. And like I said, we'll talk about it next week.
If Tamara Lich was the spark that ignited the convoy, Chris Barber was the wind keeping it moving. It was January 6, 2022, a day remembered for chaos in Washington when Barber took to social media with his own call to action.
Wherever you are.
Wait a minute. Hold on. What did they just say?
Barber was the wind keeping it moving. It was January 6, 2022, a day remembered for chaos in Washington when Barber took to social media with his own.
That's so crazy that they try to tie in January 6th. That's why Chris Barber made this video, because it was the anniversary of January 6th. That's exactly why he made this video. Once again, we're a minute into meeting Chris Barber. Nothing is mentioned about the mandates yet. And again, it seems kind of nice. I kind of like the vibe, so I'm into it. Like, he really cares about his truck. But again, for the average CBC watcher, they're thinking, this guy's obsessed with his truck. What a weirdo. You know what I mean? Like, the way that they're editing it is, it's not helping the cause at all. They're making it seem like we're we're these weird people who are stuck in our own world, and we're just these crazy convoy people. And again, like, play the whole 9-minute, 10-minute clip. There's very little about mandates and how destructive they were to millions across the country. Hey, these people are just obsessed with their trucks, and they write guitar songs. Like, it's totally doing them dirty right now.
Million kilometers on the road. If Tamara Lich was the spark that ignited the convoy, Chris Barber was the wind keeping it moving. It was January 6, 2022, a day remembered for chaos in Washington when Barber took to social media with his own call to action.
Wherever you are, shut the trucks down.
A lifelong trucker, he volunteered as a road captain, leading thousands to the capital.
Ottawa police are parking us right behind Parliament Hill.
Can you show us what's in the back here? I noticed there's another decal.
Oh! Well, as most people know, when Justin Trudeau called us the small fringe minority, we kind of took that and ran with it. So that's my sticker announcing that I'm a proud member of the small fringe minority with unacceptable views. There was an F. Trudeau sticker up on the back. I've since retired that and put a more feasible, it's a better tasteful sticker, I'd say.
What surprised us most is how
I swear to God, they're like, not that was a horrible clip, but they're taking again, they're making it seem like this weird obsession. That's how they're editing it. They're editing it to make it seem like this weird obsession and completely skipping over all the details of why the protest was actually happening. You hate to see it.
How much of that anger has fizzled out? Gone too are the Confederate flags once up on this wall.
Those came down.
The Confederate flags that were once up on the wall? What?
When I realized just how offended some people can be by it. I was raised in the 80s when we used to watch Dukes of Hazzard. Yeah, now the sentiments changed towards the symbol of that, and respectfully took the flags down.
Honestly, bro, next time it's like, I don't want to talk about that with you, actually, because I know you're just going to make me look bad. And once again, let's see if they even, how much is left? Okay, so maybe we'll actually say something about the mandates. We'll see. But like, it's so stereotypically CBC. It's painful. So it's like, hey, tell us about your truck and your stickers and how much you love your truck. And hey, didn't you have a Confederate flag up there before? Like, they're trying to stereotype him as, some hick, some right wing trucker. It's not surprising. It's just too bad. And again, it's unfortunate. Barber's a blue collar truck driver. He's not a trained politician. He shouldn't be expected to know this stuff. And by no means, I don't mean in any disrespectful way. I'm just a media nerd assessing this propaganda piece and kind of how I think they're very slyly and craftily, putting together this sort of narrative of the convoy people.
A number of years ago. Well, I guess my most memorable thing would be the portrait that artist James Waldner painted of Big Red on Wellington.
For Barber, the Freedom Convoy was always about ending cross-border travel restrictions for unvaccinated truck drivers, the indignity he felt for his industry.
I wish people would acknowledge the amount of mental illness that's come out of this in the last couple of years. I just attended a funeral for a truck driver on the weekend that ended it because life is really rough. I think the lasting effects of the COVID on the people and the mental state in this country, the alcohol addiction, the drug addiction that's gone on the last while, I wish people would start recognizing that. It's actually the pandemic that we should be focused on right now more than anything. I did my part. I got vaccinated. I wore my masks. I did.
Oh, fuck. Oh, man. I mean, the first bit was great. But, okay, well, I mean, hey, let's keep going. I'm not going to say anything about that now. Let's keep going.
Did what I could for social distancing.
He says someone needs...
Even the social distancing, fuck me. It just validates the fucking tyrants. It just validates the sort of, this is why you were punished. This is why these people were punished. Because at the beginning of the thing, it's like, why were these people punished? So why did this all happen? And the implication or the subtext of the CBC is because they didn't get vaccinated, they didn't do what they were supposed to do. So it's kind of sad to see how obviously they're going to use that to be like, hey, well, he was compliant, he followed the rules. And I'm not doing this to personally neg Chris for this. Okay, again, I'm just commenting on the propaganda. I really loved his clip at the beginning. That was beautiful. I was hanging on to every word because he was actually getting into the suffering that isn't talked about. So I'm at least I'll give points for the CBC for actually including that. But yeah, once again, it's unfortunate that they kind of just validated the whole authoritarian rules that were happening at the time. But anyway, let's see where they go with this.
Vaccinated. I wore my masks. I did what I could for social distancing.
He says someone...
sorry, the other thing I just really don't like about that is it just comes across like, well, I am a good boy. I did the right thing. I did it. And I know he didn't mean it that way, but that's kind of how it comes across. And it validates that moral argument that was so powerful right before the convoy, which is you're a good boy if you get vaccinated. You're a bad boy if you don't get vaccinated. But there's not many minutes left, so I'm not having faith that they're actually going to get into anything good when it comes to COVID and mandates.
I did my part. I got vaccinated. I wore my masks. I did what I could for social distancing.
He says someone needs to be held accountable for all this wrongdoing. But what about the pain inflicted on the people of Ottawa?
This video is hell. This video is hell, dude. This video is hell. But what about the pain inflicted on the people of Ottawa? Is this a skit? Is this a comedy skit? You gotta be kidding me. Oh my God, guy. It's been a while since I punched a hole in the wall, but you know, that the days since holes punched in a wall counter is going to go back to 0. Holy smokes. What the? That's so crazy.
Needs to be held accountable for all this wrongdoing. But what?
I love how they skim over for all this wrongdoing. They really, like, throughout this whole piece, they don't really talk about the wrongdoing, do they? There's the one moment where Tamara Lich is looking through boxes on her counter and she's reading some of the stories. Wasn't really emphasized, didn't have any sort of emotion, like not much of an emotional oomph to it to emphasize that. You know, this piece tries to feel like it's sympathetic to convoy people and unvaccinated people, but it's been totally backhanded. This whole piece has been totally backhanded, only reasserting what the CBC narrative has been the whole time, which is, well, held accountable. What about the poor people in Ottawa that insulate the corrupt pieces of shit in the House of Commons? Yeah. Okay, bro.
Accountable for all this wrongdoing. But what about the pain inflicted on the people of Ottawa? The endless honk.
What about the foreign interference accusations that are now very popular, and the sort of implication that Derek Sloan made about Theresa Tam at the time, and all of these weird, you know, COVID mandates going on at the time? We love to talk about Chinese interference now, but back then you were this horrible villain. There's just like so. Can we make it through this video? Can we make it through this video? Hey, another super chat from Mr. Grills Cheese with $20. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it so much. 07s to Grills Cheese in chat. He says, donated to the cause, and here's to the gas tank. // Thank you so much, sir. That's amazing. I appreciate it. That's what we need. We need gas in the tank to get this documentary finished and to make it happen. Someone says, why did Barber even talk to the CBC? You know, that is a good question. The thing is, you have to understand, these politicians are like assassins. Not politicians, sorry. These journalists are like hitmen. They're like assassins. Journalists are like hitmen. They're like assassins. So they're going to be super friendly. They're going to, like, you know, try to be as friendly as possible and, like, be, you know, get on your good side. Say, no, it's not going to be like that. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be great. We're going to tell you, no, we're going to be really sympathetic to you guys. And I think that it can be a good decision to speak to the CBC. But like I said, you kind of need to be trained as a politician. Like, you need to be very, like, you're going to war. You're going to war if you're talking to the CBC, okay? You need to be ready to push back. You also need to be calm. And you need to be ready to completely disregard whatever their question is and to kind of bite back at them and be like, this is silly. And also, oh my God, most important, record it. Record your own version of it. Because then if they mischaracterize you, you can have those recordings to then put public. And then that becomes a story of, look how egregiously mischaracterized I was by the CBC. Right? But yeah, I mean, like, shout outs to them for, like, you know, for Tamara and Chris for, like, having the balls to do it. Because you are kind of sifting into the lion's den at this point. But anyway, let's keep it going. Thanks again for the super chat, sir.
Accountable for all this wrongdoing. But what about the pain inflicted on the people of Ottawa? The endless honking, the disruptions, the harassment. At this point,
what harassment? Harassment? Sorry, harassment? Harassment? That's crazy talk, dude. I don't think they even have, like, any clips of protesters harassing Ottawa citizens. Like probably very few, if any. You have a lot of clips of Ottawa citizens harassing us, actually. I could find a clip. I'm not going to look for it, but there's a clip of me at the convoy. I was walking towards the protester, and this guy's like just like shouting these obscenities at me. Happened all the time. Harassment for harassment. I bet there was more against the convoy as opposed to the other way around. Like based on my own experience there of being there for almost the full 3 weeks. So F you, CBC. Fake news, bro.
My producer Felice Chin couldn't help but to share what happened to her.
So,
oh my God, dude, here we go.
oh, I got called like a dog-eating bitch.
I'm sorry, Barber's reaction. That's so good.
Happened to her.
So I got called like a dog-eating bitch.
From people in Ottawa?
Yeah.
Really?
And I'm sure it happened to other people.
I mean, okay, receipts. I want receipts. Was it a tweet? What was it?
Too. So
hey, actually, you know what? You know what's not fair about this at all, actually? The person who got called a dog-eating bitch, respectfully, you're not just an Ottawa citizen. You work for the CBC, right? So people are going to be more angry at you for lying about this protest, saying we're Nazi terrorists, and not telling the truth about mandates at the time. People were angry at the time. And I'm so tired. This comes back to Bill C-63, of course, but being called a dog-eating bitch, whatever. Plenty of people have told me way worse things on the internet, and you can ignore it. Did they even mention if this actually happened in real life, or was it just a tweet? Will we find out? Let's find out.
People in Ottawa?
Yeah.
Really?
And I'm sure it happened to other people too. So
yeah, I listen to the journalism there, and I'm totally sure it happened to other people too. I'm from CBC. Have you guys heard of sources? Have you guys heard of like actually doing real journal? I'm sure it totally happened from other people too. It's one thing for the CBC to document somebody saying that who's a subject. I'm sure it happened to other people too. This is literally somebody who works for the CBC saying that and then presenting it as not fact, but presenting it as pretty well presenting it as fact in terms of it not being editorialized whatsoever. That's crazy. Yeah, a lot of people got harassed. I'm literally behind the CBC camera. Let me tell you, a lot of people got harassed. You'll be joking me.
what would your response be to that?
Well, I'm sorry that somebody said that to you. That's obviously wrong, and it shouldn't take place in this country.
No, Barber, no. Oh my God, what? See, this is what they do. They corner you in your nice, comfy, man cave. They try to chum you up, and then they feed you all this like, don't you care? Don't you care? Like, are you a monster? Don't you care? And then they get him in the corner, and he's like, oh shit, sorry. Like, yeah, it shouldn't happen in this country. And then that's the message that gets sent out. Awful, man, awful. Oh my God, I just wish there was someone like, I want to see how someone outspoken like a Pat King or like a Jeremy McKenzie or like myself would react to that. Oh my God. Because that's what we need. We need, don't you care about that? Not really. People were very angry at the time. They were very angry. You got called a dumb bitch. Okay, I couldn't go to inside of a McDonald's. I couldn't go to the gym at the time. My family didn't want to talk to me because of your propaganda that you were spreading everywhere, psychologically terrorizing people. So you heard a mean comment? I don't really give a shit. Okay? People have the right to get angry, and they especially did at that time. We got to keep hate alive, guys. Hate is so important. Hate is so important. Fight for Freedom says Barber shouldn't have done this interview. Terrible. I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Like, it's hard to say if this is like a net positive or not. Personally, I don't really think it's a win at all, because I think it, like I said, it only kind of fulfills the same narrative about the convoy people and blah, blah, blah. So, but hey, maybe it's a learning lesson for Barber, and that this will make him a stronger person in the future, and they'll be prepared for what comes next. You know what I mean? It happened. It happened. But man, Barber, if you're watching, bro, I'm trying to stop Bill C-63. This doesn't belong in this country. Like, you sound like a leftist or something, dude. You sound like we got to censor these people. And I know you didn't mean it that way, but it's just like, oh man, that's, we will get revenge peacefully on the CBC, and we're going to do that with this documentary. I'll talk about it in a second. Let me get out the rest of this video.
What would your response be to that?
Well, I'm sorry that somebody said that to you. That's obviously wrong, and it shouldn't take place in this country. It was nobody that I stood with. I never heard that there.
Like I said, I think they may be invisible to people who are white.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Like, Barber's thinking like, holy shit, now it's about race. They made it about race again. Yes, Barber, they made it about race again. This is what these people do.
Because you wouldn't say that to each other?
No, and I think that's where we've lost a big part in the last number of years. It's like we're desensitized to everybody else's feelings out there. Everybody's about getting underneath somebody else's skin. Everybody's about making the next person angry or humiliated.
Give you back what?
I mean, he kind of makes a decent point there. I think there is a lot of animosity on both sides of the political spectrum, so I tend to kind of agree with that. But again, it's just unfortunate that that's what they're making the piece about. It looks like there's a minute left, and we heard next to nothing about the actual destructive nature of vaccine mandates, the vilification of Justin Trudeau against the unvaccinated, like the many totally heartbreaking reasons why people were at the convoy, and it's hardly been mentioned once. It was skimmed over at the beginning, and it went right into, well, what about the Ottawa side of the story? And it kept coming back to that over and over again.
Why are the price of groceries gone up?
A few weeks after our trip to Alberta and Saskatchewan, another shouting match
Oh
breaks.
my God, look at it. What? Never mind. Sorry.
To Alberta and Saskatchewan, another shouting match breaks out on Wellington Street, this time over the carbon tax.
I push their buttons right now.
The internet is flooded with videos like these. Familiar faces on both sides, filming, provoking, and uploading their outrage for the world to see.
So this is where...
Wait, is that Dina Sharif who's like in jail now?
Sides, filming, provoking, and uploading their outrage for the world to see.
Is that Dina? Chat, is that Dina? Anyway, of course, CBC won't mention how she's actually in jail now. But it's very crafty what they've done here is they're lumping it in. They're like, see, the convoy is just like all this other conservative animosity that's totally forgettable and dismissible. You see what they did there? They just folded it all into like, hey, any other animosity, anytime you see one of these conservatives complaining about the carbon tax, it's just all the same thing. It's all the same thing. It's just like the convoy, right? Like, what a sleight of hand that they accomplished with this. It's incredible.
Provoking and uploading their outrage for the world to see.
So this is where we are now. Nearly 3.
Hold on. I'm gonna prediction. The conclusion is gonna be, we just need to stop being so mean to each other. We just need to stop being like, why are people so hateful? Why are people so mean? That's my guess. That's going to be the moral of the story, is because this is really the force field of the House of Commons and the Ottawa bubble is we're just nice and polite. Hey guys, don't be mean. Why are you getting angry? And then people get angry. They righteously condemn them for evil, dishonest behavior. And then their force field is, that has no place in politics. What? Righteous condemnation has no place in politics. Isn't that convenient for your evil, lying ass? This has no place in politics. Yeah, okay. So politeness is their force field. And that's what I think they're going to reiterate here. Of people just need to stop being mean, bro.
So this is where we are now. Nearly 3 years after the Freedom Convoy came and left, or rather was forcibly removed,
Guys, by the way, I'm so sorry for not having a content warning on this. Like that's a crazy ear span. Oh my gosh.
Battle is continuing online, in the streets, and in the courtroom.
What began as a clash over health mandates has grown into a debate over rights, power, and identity. The words, the slogans, and tactics have changed, but the underlying tensions remain, shaping how we see ourselves and each other.
What? Okay, so that had nothing to do with the court at all. What? So I already kind of gave my thoughts on that. They're just folding it all in. They're folding it in together. See all this animosity, all this right-wing animosity. It's all the same anyway. It was just some clash about mandates. They completely astroturfed and glossed over the most important parts of the convoy once again. They just repackaged it as, look at these weird convoy people. Yeah, maybe they weren't Nazis, maybe they weren't terrorists, but they're these weird convoy peoples who are just like hung up on something while disregarding what the people in Ottawa had to go through. Absolutely disgusting. More dishonesty, more trash propaganda from the CBC, although it was tactful how they made this. We need to fight back, guys. We need to fight back, and it's going to be a lot more than a tweet. It's going to be a lot more than making a sign and showing up at a protest. We need to reach out of our echo chamber, because what CBC did right there is they helped program people to not care about the political persecution that's happening still to Canadians who were at the convoy and have those beliefs. The title talks about the court. The description talks about there's going to be a long haul through the courts for these two. Why? Because Barber likes his trucks and he protested mandates? Because Tamara Lich plays her guitar and she protested mandates? What is the crime? They completely glossed over the worst of what happened. And we need to fight back by telling the real story. We need to tell the real story, how it was. And that's why I'm dedicating all of my time and effort into creating a documentary. It talks about the convoy. It talks about these people who have been politically persecuted for their opinions. And they're still dealing with the aftermath. Shout outs to Randy Hillier, by the way, who is, I'm not a lawyer, but look at this. Developing story. More to come tomorrow from Randy Hillier. Crown appeal to Court of Appeal. So recently, Randy had a positive outcome for his court decision of all these charges since the convoy. But no, the Crown prosecutor is now going to further appeal that decision. So Randy thought he was out of the woods. He thought he could go back to his life of doing what he does, of fighting for this country. But no, they're like, we're going to drag you back into the courts. You have to spend more time, money, emotional, and spiritual energy to defend yourself. For what? For going to a protest to stop the mandates. This war is still going on. Okay? Like, it's far from over. And I don't see enough people telling the story properly. And that's why we are making this documentary. Okay? We're making this documentary. We're interviewing people like Randy, people like Tamara Lich and Barber who have been persecuted. We're interviewing a pastor tomorrow. I'm driving there tomorrow morning. Got to pay for the gas. Got to pay for new hard drives. And there's also a collection of people in Alberta that I would like to interview, obviously. And I mean, obviously, as in like there's a lot of very strong dissidents and strong people who have been persecuted out in Alberta. And it's all because of your political opinion. There is a slow creep of authoritarianism happening in this country, and no one's telling the story properly. We've hired an award-winning documentarian filmmaker. He's won a Guinness World Record for this. And, hiring him is obviously going to cost money, though. It's all listed here at givesendgo.com/savefreespeech. So please go support that if you want to help tell the story. If you want to fight back against the CBC propaganda then go to givesendgo.com/savefreespeech. The link is in the chat right now. Whoa, we got a couple big donations. $150 from John Grills. Much respect. Keep going. Thank you so much for the huge donation, sir. This is amazing. Thank you so much for that. We really appreciate it. You're helping save free speech, and you're helping tell our story. We're helping tell the story that more Canadians need to know. And then another huge donation from James Bullock with $100, some fuel funds. If there is any extra, I recommend getting some chocolate milk. Just the refreshments needed for this worthy task. So true. This guy knows me. This guy knows me. He's in the know. He's in the know. I love chocolate milk. It's true. But don't worry, there isn't a chocolate milk budget for the documentary. If we do reach all of our fundraising goals, this will be submitted to film festivals. It'll be distributed internationally. It'll be on different streaming services. This is going to be a professional broadcast quality documentary. It's a little bit different from just a live stream or a tweet or a TikTok short or a YouTube video. So it is taking more time. I would be making more videos, but I'm in the process of editing some of these interviews. If all goes well, we'll have an interview to show you. We'll have a preview to show you next week of some of the stuff that we've been working on in the documentary. But guys, there's a lot I still got to do tonight. I really appreciate all the support, all the donations. Thank you so much for hanging out. Alberta Strong says Rock Girl. Tim Burrs, Alberta will set a better example whether the feds want to or not. Yeah. One more quarter. Randy has and will change absolutely nothing. We're the only ones that will force change, and it starts at home. I mean, but we need people standing up like Randy. We need all sorts of people standing up who are going to be professional, who are going to appeal to the working class. You know, like we need to reach out of that echo chamber. But I agree. It's not about all putting like faith in one person or another. But what needs to happen is we need to stand up for each other, especially the ones who are the most persecuted by this government. And I don't see enough of that happening. The Conservative Party is not standing up for anybody. I made a tweet. Actually, let's look at the replies right now. I made a tweet just before this stream. I said, has Polyev or any Conservative Party MPs, hold on. Has Polyev or any Conservative Party MPs commented on any of the verdicts of persecuted protesters who attended the trucker convoy? I tagged Lich, Barber, Randy Hillier. Pretty wild, since the Conservative Party will share their strong opinions on protests about foreign conflicts on a daily basis. You will constantly see Pierre Polyev commenting on some Israel protests, some Palestine protests, some Ukraine protest. He'll have a very strong opinion about it. He said Iran is a genocidal regime and it would be a gift to the world if Israel bombed Iran. So he is not hesitating to say very, very aggressive things. But standing up for Tamara Lich and Chris Barber just can't be bothered. Standing up for Randy Hillier just can't be bothered. Standing up for anyone who has been persecuted since the convoy cannot be bothered. This snake took a picture with James Topp and then vanished. He got the political clout and then he vanished. And now he's doing nothing to stand up for you. Nothing. And that's why it's so painful to see these people who stand by and continually stand up for Polyev. It's like you stand up for Polyev, but he would never stand up for you. So what do you do? Like, you see how that's totally unreciprocal and he's just using you? And people will say, well, the PPC's not strong enough. The PPC's not strong enough. Well, the key word of the PPC is the people. Are you a person? The PPC will welcome you. Use them as a platform. Use them to help elevate your message to then criticize Pierre Polyev. That is the only way that Pierre Polyev is going to move. This sort of like cheerleading Pierre Polyev and thinking he's going to change his mind. No, he just wants you sitting there cheering him on, doing nothing. Doing nothing to pressure him to do the right thing. Doing nothing to pressure him to talk about Tamara Lich and Chris Barber, for example. So yeah, you have to get angry at these people. You have to apply pressure to these people. But anyway, there's a lot I got to do. Maybe I'll read some of these comments. Randy Hillier says, not a single one of them. Lord Jesus in chat says, you know what else none of them have made a comment on? Mayor Harold McQuaker, deafening silence. That's so true. That is so true. There's a lot that I would love to talk about, but as I said, I got a busy day tomorrow, and there's a lot I still got to do tonight. So thank you so much for watching. I'm going to play the same song on the way out. It's from my friend. I've performed live with him before. His name's Dirty Jerdy. Maybe we'll do a quick link to his channel real quick. But he just released an album. It's kind of like a comedy album. It's kind of like punk rock, but like it's got some pretty entertaining tunes. This one is called Normies. So I'll let that one play us out. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, share, subscribe. And once again, if you want to help support Save Free Speech and tell the story of persecuted political prisoners in Canada, go to givesendgo.com/Save Free Speech. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time. Adios.
Hi there. I identify as a good person, living in a good city with good politics. And if you saw me walking down the street, why, you'd know all of my beliefs. Double mask, triple max, trust in my science. Got a couple pronouns in my bio. Elon's mad, orange man bad. I posted a black square on Instagram. Shave my head for BLM. Hashtag I support the current thing. I believe our women and Leah Thomas women back in 2016. Hillary Clinton would have won, but Russian collusion. Hey, what are you carrying water for Putin? Going cashless, voluntary fact check. Got my big pussy out of today. Back to past tense. My new normal. I'm scared at doorknobs. Deplatform, yeah. If you're not for moms or kids. For sustainability, only eating cricket meat. Pizza Gates for schizophrenics. Billy Gates is generous. And hey man, OnlyFans is liberation. I'm a scope that KFC's plant-based now. CRT digital ID. AOC, UBI, and I'm on the right side of history. When we get behind the current thing.
Love that song. Guys, I just remembered. You should go check out another live stream happening right now with Juan's Butter. Whoops. He's interviewing Theo Fleury. He's interviewing him right now. I'll put the link in the chat. Go check it out. Go join the live. Two great men right over there. The link is in the chat. Go check it out. I'm going to be in the chat as well. We'll see you later. Thanks for watching, guys. Till next time.
And when you're trying to take people's guns away, you're probably up to something that you shouldn't be doing. If people have the right to defend themselves and you're taking away the thing that they can use to defend themselves, you're probably up to no good.
Well, yeah, if you look historically, who are the people that have always taken away weapons versus you consider who are the people that there's been governments or nations past that actually required their citizens to be armed.
Right.
You know, and those are governments that are not